One of the first requests is rowing movements / unexplained movements exercises from my programs. So right, a lot of the programs the exercises we have initially on the website now are from the hypertrophy, but we didn't get them all. We got the bulk, and so this is an extension of that. Here are 3 exercises that are listed in my program that the video hasn't been made for, okay? And this is part of that process, okay? So I know that a single movement can be trained with various exercises, so there's no need to explain every single exercise. Yet there are still some unexplained movements like rowing for the back muscles, etc., etc. It goes on and go that. But so again, what we've done is I've dissected this question. Let's pick 3 exercises. We're gonna pick 3 rowing exercises. We're gonna use a barbell bent over row, single arm dumbbell row, then we're gonna do a seated cable row. And that's what we're gonna go over today, okay? I'm gonna explain that as if, right, these are essentially videos from my website. So we'll pick the first one. First one was gonna go over the bent over row, okay? So we're gonna get into the minutia a little bit, okay? So that's the point, is so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about when I'm saying things should be and can be very easily explained, okay? And so there's a why to these things. There's like, you see this exercise so often in the weight room, and quite frankly, I barely ever see it done properly or to the optimal level that it can be. First problem is that people lift entirely too heavy, okay? So my percentages will reflect that, okay? And then you make those adjustments, okay? So for the bent over row is pretty simple, okay? To take that position, again, I kind of use sports because it kind of makes sense to a lot of people. I say, you're gonna take a linebacker type position. I'm gonna take this position like this. This is my starting position. And from there, okay, from the side, this is the position I've got. My arm is straight, okay? And from this position, I'm going to go get the bar, okay? And so again, the whole idea from a bent over row, the primary focus of this exercise, if you were to say to an exercise physiologist, hey Jeff, what are the primary movers for the barbell bent over row? Okay, there's a ton of ancillary muscle groups, right? Obviously your forearms are working, your biceps are working. We are isometrically stabilizing all of these muscles, okay? But what is the muscle that is intended for its development for this exercise, okay? And I say all the time, I say the position of the bones determine the function of the muscles attached to them, okay? So the point is if I am taking this position right here and I begin to lift, right, my traps are engaged. I don't want my traps engaged, so I gotta pull my lat down. Well, I'm still gonna engage my traps if I lift, so I've gotta change the position of my bones, okay? So we actually do have to be bent out over this bar, right? We're not sitting back. Again, here's the demonstration of the silliness we see. So this is what you see most times in a gym, right? This kind of bullshit, right? Or you're gonna have the palm up and somebody's doing this crap, okay? This is not rhomboids, folks, okay? Neither is this, okay? So from the side angle, okay, foot position is the same position we squat from, okay? So we're gonna take with this foot position, go get the bar, it becomes a deadlift. Now I've got to push my hamstrings back, okay? So to take a stable, safe position of my lower back, I don't want to do that, okay? The beginning movement is exactly like a squat. Squeeze my glutes, push my hamstrings back. Now I'm over the bar, okay? I don't want to lock my knees. Got out over the bar, slight knee bend. And I'm going to go straight up and down, okay? I'm not pulling to my belly, okay? Why? Because this humerus right here, in its angle of contraction, is got to shorten the muscle group, okay? So from a standpoint of my rhomboids, which sit right in between my shoulder blades, those muscles between my shoulder blades only get activated if I'm pulling this humerus, okay? This position right here. Not this, okay? This position. So to take this position on a row, I have got to be in this position, right? So it doesn't matter if you do more reps and you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna do all this crazy weight and do, no. Your position determines the function. There's no amount of effort or subconscious dialogue that is gonna convince your anatomy to all of a sudden switch to your rhomboids, okay? So you have to take the position. So here's the thing, you're going, oh my God, Jeff, I've done your programs, your percentages are crazy, oh my God, okay. Calm down, this is the solution. The solution to, once we get position, because yes, is it extremely difficult to hold this position with weight? That is a terrible mechanical disadvantage your lower back has gotten, right? It's relying on your hamstrings and glutes to hold that position. Your spinal erectors have got to fight. So instead of, it says like 8 reps, 10 reps, 20 reps, 2 reps, okay, you just segment it, okay, just segment it. It's like if I've got a set of 10, okay, and I've got to accumulate the work, but I know in my head my position will break down before I get to 10 reps, what do? Right? It might look like this. Right? It's this very similar setup as a deadlift, but segmented in 2s and 3s and 4s or 1s. It doesn't matter, okay? What matters most is your positioning, okay? Then can we accumulate our workload in that position, right? If we use that same statement in baseball, right? I want to produce as much force as possible and reproduce that force. We do that by maintaining the best position at a higher velocity, okay? And that's what we're trying to do, okay? So get in that position, boom. Activate the rhomboids, okay? Not this. That is not your rhomboids as primary movers. Yes, the rhomboids are there activating and shortening, but we're talking primary movers here, okay? That's like saying, right, I'm not using my shoulders on the bicep curl. Yes, we are. They may not be the primary movers, but we're trying to eliminate that, okay? Same here. We're trying to eliminate all that noise with an isometric contraction, then we can move, okay? And so we're going to do 2 other rowing exercises. And you'll see that a lot of these movements, these positions, they transfer from one another, okay? So the next one we're gonna do is we're gonna do a dumbbell bent over row. There's a couple common mistakes that you see in this exercise. And again, it really comes down to position, because one of the more common things I see is people putting their knee up on a bench like this, boom. And they're just, the hip, look at my hips, okay? I've got all this sag. I've got no real support. I'm just holding on for dear life, okay? So again, when I'm talking back, I say, get in your linebacker position, okay? So I'm gonna get in my linebacker position, boom. Now I'm in a position, right? And the reason why, again, think of baseball again. If someone's going to throw right-handed, what they'll do is you pull that lat down really hard so this hand can come up over above, okay? Agonist to antagonist, right? And it also allows for deceleration. So why is that valuable, right? If I'm like this and I'm not engaged here, right, lat, right? I end up in a shrug position. Now I'm taking this clavicle and all these things and just jamming them in places I'm trying to pull, okay? So it's the opposite. Flex my lat. On the opposite side, I lean into it, right? If I were to move my hand, I would fall. When I do a bent over row, I have a lot of weight on this hand, okay? Because I want to flex this lat. The best way to do it is force it by putting weight on it, pulling that lat in position, okay? Now I might base out like I'm sprinting, perfectly acceptable. Okay, let me switch sides here. Okay, right side, I'm leaning on it. Okay, if I move my hand, I would fall. But I want to be pressure on this. Okay, and then here's the other thing. This, right, and watch my shoulders. Okay, if I'm looking at my shoulder should not come this way. Okay, and it actually shouldn't really be doing a whole lot of lifting. Okay, lat is down. If I were to put, like again, I'll grab the center mass bell and do it, But if you notice where my finger is at, watch I guess the path. Let's imagine I'm holding a dumbbell, but I have my finger out. I want you to watch my finger. My finger will travel in a straight line, right? It'll travel straight at a diagonal straight line. Back, okay? This is not, okay, an appropriate pull if we're trying to do lats. This is more appropriate, again, if we're going to do rhomboids, but for both of them, if I've engaged my lat, now I can actually pull in my rhomboid, or I can continue to work my lat. Okay, so the dumbbell bent row is really two kind of exercises, and the path of that bell or the dumbbell matters. Okay, so first one, if I want to be rhomboid dominant, okay, load, okay, lat down. Now I'm going to pull straight in, okay, pull straight up. The forearm is straight up, okay? Forearm stays straight up if I want to be rhomboid dominant. If I want to be lat dominant, okay, it's that straight line I mentioned, okay? So load my right side. I'm going to pull this backwards, okay? Then I'm going to push forward, pull it back, okay? Push forward, pull it back. So again, I'm not just doing this number. I don't want to rotate my torso. I flex my torso into position. Lat goes down. This is rhomboid. This is lat. So think elbow someone behind you is lat. Once my lat's in position, if I lift straight up, okay, again, see what's happening to that humerus. From here, I'm actually not going to lift out, but this position going straight up, okay, the forearm is going to determine the function. That's a good marker when you're watching yourself in the gym. Let's go on my forearm, because if I'm doing I call alligator arms. Anytime I pull my knuckles into me, right, I know I got alligator arms. So I don't want to be here and then doing this number, okay? Lats down, forearm is straight for rhomboids. Lats down, push, almost like pulling and lifting the same time, okay? And you should start feeling, because your lat goes all the way down to here. If you do it correctly, you'll start feeling like you're cramping, like I'm going to shorten this distance. Watch my rib cage. Boom, boom. That's my lat. Flex my lat, okay? Start shortening this rib cage, okay? If that makes sense. All right, so that is a dumbbell bent over row. It's not knee up, jerking. Let's turn the lawnmower here, okay? That's dynamic, right? If I was saying, hey man, get in there and the exercise, just pull quick and hard, yes, great. We're focusing on a particular muscle group, okay? So the next one is going to be a cable seated row, right? The same exercises, the setups that you guys are used to, or it's actually off the ground. A lot of life fitness and stuff where you're seated off the ground has the 2-foot pedals. This right here, it's a great piece of equipment. Again, I would make some modifications of this, like a lot, but again, we're going to focus on some of the ideal positions for this, okay? Because again, what we're trying to do is focus. If we're talking about rowing, the primary mover is the rhomboid, okay? That's, again, if we're overhead and pulling down, it's probably lats, okay? But so for this case right here, a lot of oftentimes on this is we don't maintain a rigid enough torso, hip to shoulder position as we're rowing. We let that row take us out of position. We don't want our scapulas, we call them winged, we don't want the scapulas to rotate out and come around the rib cage. I don't want to be here, ever rowing. I never want to be here rowing. We gotta think shoulders are poisoned for your ears, lats are down, okay, and we pull back. Okay, I don't want to be lifting, okay, I don't want to be pulling down to my crotch. I'm going to take that thing and imagine having something connected to my elbow. I'm just pulling that elbow's getting pulled backwards, just straight back, okay, without doing that, okay. So I'll give you a visual of what we're looking at, okay, and then we'll do just a brief recap on some of these things. It doesn't really too much matter, I mean it does, but for the purpose of this, the grip, right? I'm putting you also, because if my grip is really wide, it's going to be much less rhomboids as well. If I'm narrow, right, I really can focus on pulling those shoulder blades back, okay? So on this particular exercise, slight knee bend, okay? And like I said, the most common problem with this is that, well, it's probably easier to show you. The most common problem with this is once people get under load, they're doing this. They're in this position at some point, right? You should not ever be in that position on a row, okay? From this position, lats come down, okay? Now I'm going to get my flexibility, my mobility work, right? My warm-up work by maintaining lat contraction, and then the lats get stretched, right? Lats are tight. Boom, pull, okay? I'm not leaning back on a row, okay? If anything, I'm going forward, getting my stretch here, pulling, just to my belly, pulling straight out, or pulling straight in from the source of the pulley, okay? So at no point am I here. Lats are back the whole time. Lats are back and down the whole time. Good stretch, right? Without, again, that's where the problem is. When I go for a stretch, I don't want to do that, okay? Lats are down, lats are back. Tight. Pull. Get a good stretch. Hamstrings and lats are nice and tight. Pull, okay? So not super complex. A bigger, like this is a perfect example, or any one of these really. There is this idea probably for many that a bigger movement is going to elicit more muscle contraction, maybe in total. But the problem is once you get outside of an angle, okay, what happens is there's what I call is a chain of contraction, okay, right? So here's a perfect example of that. Is, right, if you were to go like this and flex your muscles, all of them down, okay, and keep one flexed, as you move the other one, certain muscle groups have to turn on and off, okay? Even if you're trying desperately to keep some muscle groups on, the position, again, perfect one is flex like this, feel your pec, lift your arm. At some point your pec has to turn off because of the position of the humerus. Okay, so whether we're rowing, whether we're pressing, whether we're bicep curling, whatever it is, right? I might think, oh, I'm doing a lot of back. Well, actually, you pulled in a lot of forearm, tricep, whatever it is, to create the full movement. Okay, and we're trying to just focus on one part. Okay, now I'm not going to get off the rails on this at all, but some might go, well, wait, Jeff. What about specificity? What if I'm specifically trying to develop more power for baseball, whatever it is? That's a whole other conversation where when you start getting into power and speed phase and deloading, more specificity gets in. So a lot of the lifts will start looking more like the sport. But right now, we're trying to fundamentally develop positions under greater load than you're going to normally encounter, and then rep, and add workload. Okay, so that's what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, like these are not absolutes in the sense of, well, wait, there's like, again, there are certain cases in bodybuilders and powerlifters that would say, well, this is the way I do it, okay, but the demographic I'm focusing on right now is not the powerlifter, and it's not the pro athlete. What we're trying to do is fundamentally teach you how to get in position, okay, and then audit yourself as you either maintain that position or you begin to break down your movement patterns. Because again, going back to sport, an ugly golf swing does not yield an accurate or a long shot, okay? Might get lucky every now and again, but weightlifting is exactly the same thing. It's just we're dealing with greater masses, okay? So the margin of error still exists on all these, okay? So I'm telling you, it behooves you to maintain position throughout all of these exercises, and you're going to get a far better, whatever your goal is. better weight gain, better weight loss, better mobility, better whatever, resiliency and so on, okay? Movement matters most outside of sleep and eating, right? Again, I'm just gonna keep hammering to sleep. Sleep is, it's like the First and Second Amendment, guys. Which one's better? I think they're both pretty awesome. So it's like, is sleep or eating more important? Yes, they both are. Probably number 3, in my personal opinion, is how we move. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. And again, for those of you that didn't catch the intro, what we're doing is showing you all, if for the many questions are like, hey, what does your membership website include? Well, it includes something like this. Right? We're going to take exercises from my programs and otherwise. We're going to dissect them a little bit. We're going to explain the why. We're going to explain the how. And that's what you get out of it. Like the best thing I can, obviously I'd like to be able to get in front of everyone and teach them, but it's just not feasible. So this is the methodology. We're going to try. We're going to do our best to continue to film this content and get it out to you in this manner to where it is actually answering questions rather than creating more problems. Okay, so I appreciate all of you. We will do this again later.